Bianca Malineski, the host. Today I have Josia Angeline. I like to read people's Instagram bios, like to describe people to see what you say. So we have TV producer, talent manager, LA, unscripted TV, brand deals, celebrities, influencers, and then like you added a few things. So is there anything that you want to add to that bio or take away from that bio that you feel like maybe doesn't resonate, or maybe you need to add something?
Oh, that's super accurate.
Okay. You're like on top of your bio. You're
consummate busybody. Like,
yeah,
that would be
busybody.
good to add on there.
Nice. So are you a good girl?
I was thinking about that. And
Yeah.
I think I am. I think
Yeah.
I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And I think that I am, like, I follow rules. I break them selectively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am.
So what makes you break a rule?
Innovation. Like, I would
Yeah.
say that if I need to innovate something, I can think outside the box and I can break a rule that way.
Yeah. Do you feel like you were were you raised like religious at all?
Mm-hmm.
So what religion?
I was raised Catholic.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So do you feel like that affects you at all, like mentally, like as an adult, or like you had a hard time like in adolescence, like just like having to be a certain way, like in the,
Yeah, I think there were a lot of rules, and like if you look at good girl under Catholicism, it's different than what good girl would be under a different religion if we're looking at that container. I think, I grew up in Wyoming where it was really sheltered.
Wyoming?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
3,000 people in my hometown.
I've never even been to Wyoming.
You should go. You'd love it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a recovered Catholic. I don't know if you can say that, but for me, I found the ideology didn't resonate as much as I got older. It just didn't.
Like, how old were you when you realized that?
I'm 14.
Oh, okay. So you're still kind of young.
I do have a story from when I was really young with it, though.
Oh, really?
I was like 9, and I remember we had to write like the 5 things you can't live without. Let me contextualize this. Yep, CCD. We're like, which is Catholic. We used to call it Catholic Church Detention, but it's not. It's catechism, isn't it? It's like you just yeah. So you just go there and you're like, okay, 5 things you can't live without. I, being a good girl, I'm like, I'm gonna ace this because I know the answer. We did it in class: food, clothing, shelter, water. And they're like, what's the last one? Oh, it's air, right? So I write like air, and I draw like an astronaut bounding across like, the land. And I think I've gotten a gold star. I've done the good girl thing. I've gotten it correct. And like when a teacher grabs you right here, I feel that after I've like posted it on the wall, and I'm like, and my teacher says, tell me what's wrong with this. And I'm looking over it and looking over it.
How old were you?
Like 9.
Oh.
And I'm looking over it, and there's like, I got it right. Like, I know it's right. And I'm like, and she saw then that I wasn't pulling a fast one, and she's like, God is not on your list. And I'm like, and I start rationalizing through. She interrupts me, and she's like, he is the food, he is the clothing, he is the shelter. And in my brain, I'm like, no, there's a disconnect here between us. And I didn't know at that age. I was too young, and I was battling with her emotional reaction rather than actually getting to see the situation fully. But I was like, not in my need it list.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
For me, I think that a lot of people do need a religious ideology, or they do need, even a lack of belief is but I didn't. But I didn't know I could.
Did you tell your parents about that situation?
Probably.
Hi guys, welcome in. Do you remember if they like sided with you or they sided with the teacher?
They would probably side with the teacher.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My stepdad was in education. Although my mom pulled us out of church, she read Under the Banner of Heaven, which is on Mormonism. It's actually made into a TV show now. But she saw
Real Housewives of the Mormons, or whatever
that is. She heard about that. No, she saw the parallels between what was wrong in Mormonism and things in Catholicism. And she was like, huh. So even if she was kind of like, you guys can choose whether or not you want to go to church. And we're like, nice. Sweet, we're going to sleep in.
When you were 14 or when
12,
when you were 12? Okay.
Yeah. And then so I was like, yeah, I'm going to sleep in and watch X-Men on Saturday.
Wow.
And Sunday. Like, I don't know. We just.
And then after that, like as a teenager and in your 20s, you didn't feel like any sort of Catholic guilt. Oh, that's good.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like if I make a decision, like I can lock it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So how we met, I always like to say how we met. So we actually just met at a birthday party, like what was it, like maybe 2 or 3 months ago?
Yep.
And we just were sitting next to each other and we just started chatting. And I don't even remember what we initially started chatting about, but I just felt like we kind of hit it off. And
comedy.
Yeah, it was comedy. Oh yeah, stand up. Yeah, because you also do stand up, right? Or
I've done stand up, but I've produced a lot of comedy.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. But I think, I don't know if you feel this way, but I always have a little bit of a, when you go to a party, not like anxiety, but like sometimes you just don't connect to anyone and you feel like it's sort of a loss. Like, like you got ready, you went out and you just didn't feel like connected at all. So like, I think at that party, I feel like I really connected with you. And then I think I like kind of connected with other people, but I probably connected the most with you.
I would say the same. I also noticed that you took a picture of me on the typewriter.
Yeah.
Most people don't take time to to witness someone else what they're doing.
Oh, interesting.
Like I was like, she took time out of her experience to make sure I had a memory.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very thoughtful.
Aww.
So I remembered that.
You also just looked really cool. Like in that I feel like from a photographer standpoint, I was like, this must be captured.
Thank you. I think I bounced early due to social anxiety. Went to Erewhon and tried the new Rebel cheese. There's like this new vegan Rebel cheese. Bounced to Erewhon before it closed. Got that and like Irish goodbye. Like,
yeah.
That was me.
Well, that party was really weird for me because so in the book I wrote, which is a part of the podcast called Good Girl, it's available on Amazon. Chapter 9 showed up to the party. Yeah, chapter 9, this man showed up to the party that I met you at.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what's in chapter 9?
Well, it talks about like how I met him. He's in the book, like he's like a part of the book. But I think he had read the book and he was like, yeah, girl, let's with some tea right here. So I think, cheers. Yeah. So, cause like in the past, if I ever saw him, he was like, he'd always, talk and come over. When usually we'd always kind of not like hook back up, but get intertwined back into each other's lives. And it's been a minute since that has happened with us, like several years. But yeah, he showed up to the party and he like came over. Hello. He came over. He came over and I was like, he said hello. Okay. He like made a point to say hello. And then I was like, sit down. Why don't we catch up? And he was like, no, I'm good. And I was like, oh, he read the book.
So what I love about this is that, oh God, I'm seeing so many layers, but he has to let his presence be known. And then when you, being kind and nice, you're like, oh, sit down, we can talk. Yeah. Even though clearly there's history that could be good or bad there. You're like, you know what? We're at a public event, sit down. Yeah. No, I'm good. It's like he came over to like be a bratty. Like
he was such a baby. And what's crazy is that Dina like had a relationship with him as well.
Really?
And the plot thickens. And I guess like that's why he was there. I think he was also friends with the other guy whose birthday was also being celebrated in the same room.
It's a lot of birthdays.
Yeah. So I had never gotten like full closure on him. I always thought that maybe I should have been with him and maybe I was just too unavailable to be with someone who actually liked me. And then she told me about her story with him. And and then also based off his reaction that evening, I was like, oh my gosh, my instincts were right. I should have never been with him.
You're so right. And it makes me know when he came over and you're like, oh, he read the book and then he's different. He doesn't control the narrative anymore.
Yeah.
That he came over for control. He didn't come over.
And you know what's crazy? Chapter, I don't know, 20 something, a different guy, he also read the book and texted me, and he was like, his behavior was questionable, like more so than chapter 9. And he texted me saying, I read the book, and I just want to say it's so good. Congratulations. Like, but people are fascinating.
I think that's revealing. I think it's very revealing of like some people need to be seen in a good light all the time, or they need to have control of the narrative. Whereas your interpretation is your experience.
Yeah.
This guy comes over and he's like, no, thank you.
I mean, it's like, I always, you know that movie, Call Me By Your Name?
Yes.
Okay, so I get really emotional at that movie just because of what happens with two lovers, like, you know, once it's over, how it's just like, you're just out of each other's lives.
Yeah.
And I am trying to get better at, like, you know, we have a history together. Like, we've been intimate together. We know each other. I've known you for several years. Like, what happened. And I do talk about him in a very descriptive way, which I think is what he got offended by. But I'm just recalling, because like the book is really about all the facts that I experienced and like what it added up to, you know? Oh, it's now a commercial. But yeah, it wasn't like to offend him. It just, it was the audience needs to know the whole, I have to paint the whole picture.
And it's your experience.
Yeah.
And even if you had written something to offend him, like Stevie Nicks, didn't she write a song about the guy she was in a band and made him play it? Like, there's way worse things to do than write a book about your experience. He came over to start, like, why come over at all if you're just gonna say hello? Like, that was really weird. I was like, hi, goodbye, like, okay, see you later. But I was like, yeah, he definitely read the book. So anyway, that's how we met. So so you grew up in Wyoming, and then, so how did you get here? My smart answer for that is a car. I did drive.
How far is it from Wyoming?
Like, you could do it in a day.
Oh, that's not bad.
You could do it in a day, but
it's a long day.
You have to drive all the way through.
Yeah.
So let's see. So my quick answer for that is I traveled around. Like, I lived all over, like, the US. I lived in China. I lived in Korea. I lived in Europe for a bit. My 20s were a blur of airports, and that was...
Wait, why did you do all that?
Some of it was I was dating somebody for 7 years, and they liked to travel, and so I was like, okay, I'll go with you. Some of it was before them, and I traveled, and then even when I was with them, I wanted to travel.
Why did you go to Korea?
That was with the guy I was dating.
Okay.
And
because he had to go there, or
he was studying.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll go with you. Yeah. So just, to me, it was an adventure, but I don't know. I wanted my 20s to be busy, and literally I wrote, I want my 20s to be a blur of airports. And it was.
Oh, wow.
It truly was. And I felt like, okay. Then when I was 26, I got a scholarship to do a film school. And I'd always wanted to move to LA and do TV, make movies, make TV. And this, I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
This was the thing I needed. This was a scholarship. I got it through Panavision. I did it. I knew. And I brought it up to the guy I was dating, because I had produced like a short documentary for him, and I had really encouraged him to be a director because that's what he wanted to do. And I remember after like a 16-hour day, I run back upstairs to the room that we were staying at in this vacation home, and I tell him about my experience, and I was babbling with just excitement, and it's just spilling out of me. And as I look at him, I just see, I'm like, ooh. And I just stop what I'm saying. I'm like, you're jealous of me right now.
Oh, wow.
Aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I am.
Oh, wow.
He's like, I should be the one who got that scholarship.
Stop. Well, did he even apply?
No.
Yeah.
But he's like, I would be more deserving of that. I would do better than you.
Oh my God, how terrible. Was this person your same age, or was he older than you?
3 years older.
Okay.
But I was just like, So, okay, well, that's where you're at. I want to move to LA. I want to play with the big boys. That's what I want to do. he's like, that's so cute. You don't have the skills.
Oh my, how long were you with this person?
Like 6 years.
That's a long time. And so this was at the end of the 6 years?
Oh, it ended right. I was like, well, then you don't know me at all.
Yeah. Wow.
And we have to break up. And so I left him and I packed my car up and I, with like $500 in a backpack.
Wow.
And so I was like, I've got to go. And he's not a bad guy. I just think that in that moment, he knew he could lose me. And he's just like, and I was doing something that he wanted to do and was never able to.
Yeah.
Not everybody can come out here and have a career.
Yeah.
You have to be very tenacious and you have to be very lucky and you have to be very talented. You have to be everything.
Yeah.
And still it might not work.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it. I don't hold it against him, but also in that moment, I was like, oh no, this isn't going to work.
And you just, did you kind of continue communication with him at all afterwards?
We did. Yeah. Until I realized like, he's never, this is not healthy for him.
Oh, for him.
I think that it's a, like, I just didn't feel like it was healthy. I don't feel like he'd be able to let go. My life is going to change so much. His is, not that it was static in any way, but I was like, he's in his very safe world. Yeah. Mine's going to change exponentially. To watch that online, that's hell. Yeah. That's hell on earth to like put it in your head that then you just start creating it. Social media does horrible things to people. So it's like, I just felt like it wouldn't have been right. So I don't have any ill will. Like,
you don't know, like, do you know like what he's up to, that guy?
During the pandemic, so one of my friends must have posted on their page. Like there was an article about him during the pandemic where I think he had to do his wedding online.
Oh, interesting.
Because the pandemic ruined him. Yeah. So I think he's happily married.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I haven't checked in.
Yeah.
So I think that.
Do you talk to a lot of your exes or not really?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think it's what's your philosophy for it?
Well, I always think that there's like a time period, like after the breakup, or maybe you talk, but then as soon as someone starts dating someone else, I feel like it just doesn't, I feel like it kind of fizzles out because they're with that other person. And that's been my experience. Unless something ended really badly and then I'm like, I don't ever want to talk to you again, which that has happened too. So yeah.
I could see that. As a general rule, I think when something's run its course, it's run its course. But then I think that there's nuance and complications in life too. I was a bridesmaid in one of my
because of your friendship with him?
No, I was a bridesmaid in someone whom I had dated wedding.
Oh wow.
Yep, she married a guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a thing. And it was we always
cared. But you're friends?
Yeah, we're friends.
Oh, okay.
Like we're friendly. Like I wouldn't say that we're still close in the way we were.
But you were close back then to be a bridesmaid, right?
Yeah, it was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And she's like, I really want you to be in my life.
But then do you feel like when she got married that maybe you weren't as much friends with her anymore? Do you feel like it changed?
No. I felt like no, because it was like we were always friends first.
Yeah.
And obviously, like if you do something that friends don't do, then it changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
But I think we were as adult about it as we could have been. It was like, okay, and then
But don't you feel like sometimes when people get married, you just don't talk to them as much?
My friends all got married when we were like 19, so it's so hard for me to contextualize. But I think in general, if someone's like busy and forming their life and people's just their priorities change.
Yeah.
So but I have so many friends that are married, but there's been no romantic component to it. Like we're still in each other's lives in like a healthy capacity. It just depends. And I think it's situational. I really do. I think, well, I could say here's what my rules look like.
Yeah.
Someone else, that might not work for them.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of married friends who live out here?
Yeah, I think a lot of my friends out here are married. Some have moved to like the outskirts.
Like where? What's an outskirt?
New York.
Okay, yeah. The outskirts of the United States.
New York. Where else have people moved? Yeah, and there are people I've lost. I've been not as good at being in touch since the pandemic. But I do think people's lives are just kind of going in different directions right
Yeah.
now. I try to check in with people.
Do you feel like LA is kind of quiet right now? Like, do you feel like what are your thoughts on that?
Ooh. So my own inner monologue can be kind of negative about it. So I try not to, it says a couple things. It's like, you know, all the gloom and doom that's there about the industry and about changes. But there's also, I'm like, well, things go in waves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you would have looked back when the radio was introduced or when color TV came in or when podcasts came in, it's each wave of technology, people have really, you know, it's the death of TV, it's the death of TV, it's the death of the industry. So I think there's constant evolution, and this is a different, like AI specifically is what I'm referring to now, is like this new wave. And I think people are in an adapting phase.
Yeah.
And it's right now the pendulum's here. Eventually it comes back. Like phases happen. I don't know.
Do you feel like everyone like went to New York and is just like living their best lives in New York? I see a lot of New York stuff online.
A lot of New York. I see a lot of people going to different states.
Yeah. Miami, Texas.
I know. Greece. People are in Greece AF right now. Why aren't we in Greece right now?
I'm going to Greece in August
for
my birthday. Well, no, I'm turning 40. And my mom is turning 80.
Okay, that's beautiful then. That's actually amazing.
I've never been to Greece.
I thought you were like, I'm just going.
No, it's like a big celebration. Yeah. That's beautiful. And then because I've been wanting to do this for like a year or two, like plan this trip. And my childhood best friend, who's never been to Europe and who's been with her boyfriend for like 18, 19 years, she was like, okay, we're going to come. And then it turned into, well, we're going to be in Europe, so we might as well elope. So now it's turning into a wedding. It's like a movie. It's like a wedding,
this is
2
incredible.
birthdays. and then my college best friend was like, well, I'm going to be in Europe because she married a Belgian man. She's like, I'm going to be in Europe with his family and my family, and we're going to celebrate our 12-year wedding anniversary. So we'll also come. So now someone just needs to get proposed to, and it will be like all the events in one.
This is beautiful now. So it's like, I just got joy hearing like why you're going to Greece. That's incredible.
I know. I'm really excited about it. I mean, financially, it's definitely like I'm trying my best to figure it all out, but like I just feel like I have to do it. Like it'll be worth it. Like it's like a once in a lifetime thing.
And now that you've committed to it,
now that I've already bought my plane
you're going. It's like the world has a way of when you've decided, everything pushes towards that.
Yeah.
So money just like will pop up, and everything will just be easy. You'll just be like, I'm going.
So what are your thoughts? Like, what is your relationship to money? Like, speaking of like, you know, the universe will support you in that way, or I have
a good relationship with money.
Yeah.
I like money. Money likes me.
Okay, that's good. Sounds a lot. Yeah.
I like, I feel, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have any complex thoughts about money other than I like it. I like making money. I like being generous with my money.
Oh, that's nice. What's your sign?
Virgo.
Okay.
Scorpio rising. But yeah, I like money. I can't wait to make even more of it. I want to like get to the point someday where I can start organizations or like put my money towards causes that I really care about and make an impact.
Yeah.
I think money is valuable in that way. You can do so much with it.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to like make an impact and a legacy.
Yeah.
With money.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like as you get older, you're like, okay, like, you know, money, like, you know, what is it? Why do we need it? And then like, what is it actually good for? You know? So
whatever
definitely.
you want it to be.
So what do you feel like? Are you single?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you feel like money in relationships? Like, you know, do you feel like this is something that I'm really interested in getting more into? Because I talk about it a little bit in my book about kind of like class, like and like as far as like dating within your class, or you know, like, because you know, obviously there's like Jane Austen books and movies, but I still think it plays a big part like in dating. Like whether we want to like talk about it or not, I still feel like people kind of tend to date like within their bracket or not. Like, you know,
they can. I think it's weird that people wouldn't talk about it in dating because it comes up in every other area of their lives. So I think it's weird that people would be like compartmentalizing in dating.
Yeah.
Who you marry and who you date is going to have more impact on your life than anything else that you do.
Yeah.
Fun fact. It's like you spend the most time with them. It's like everything gets intertwined. So
what if you fell in love with a musician who makes no money? Would you just be like, okay, we're going to make this work. Like, let's do this.
I've always made more money than the people I date.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't care if they had no work ethic, if they didn't like, so no, I don't care as much. Are they good with what they have? Like if someone can like balance their budget and live within their means, nothing's more attractive than that. Like,
do you find that with people these days that they can do that?
Yeah, some people can. I think a lot of people can't. There's a lot of distraction with people, or they're wanting fast, you know,
like get rich quick.
Yeah, get rich quick. They're now slow and steady wins the race. You just want to see somebody that's practical with their money.
Yeah.
I know people that have so much money that live off of like a very fixed income. You would never know that they were rich.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're just like, they act like they're not.
Yeah.
It's everything else gets put away. They act like they don't make it. It's like, well, this is going, we're living off this. This is within our means.
But do you feel like you are attracted to people who might be wealthier, or your attraction does not depend on the income? It depends on the person.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like solely. Because I can take care of myself.
Yeah.
And so I don't need somebody to take care of me. If someone could and wanted to, great. If that's their personality. But it's never been an area where all the women in my family are the breadwinners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so, interesting.
Yeah. It just sort of like, so maybe I just grew up with that. And the guys work hard too, but it's like the women were so good at sales and so good at everything else that they fully carried the.
Yeah. Are you on the dating apps?
No.
No. Why not?
I think dating apps are toxic, and I don't want people to have access to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if someone, I usually meet people. I've always met people in person, like in the wild.
Because, well, with all the jobs that you do, you're around people, like men.
A lot of people. I'm around a lot of men
in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also just friendly. Like I meet people at the grocery store.
Oh, really? Like men?
People like I've met I meet people everywhere. I talk to people. Yeah. I ask them about their lives. So no, I've never had trouble meeting somebody.
They ask you out at the grocery store?
I've been asked out.
Oh, really? Like
you go to the grocery store in sweatpants and like, oh my god, I can't get
what
this off
grocery store?
Go to go to Lazy Acres, go to Gelson's, go to Lazy Acres, go to what's that cute one on Melrose, LA Grocery.
But do you feel like you're like warm and you're inviting? Because sometimes when I go to the grocery store, I'm like in and out, and it doesn't read like "come ask me out."
They can tell.
Yeah,
they will. They're like beep, beep.
So it needs to be more like I'm open to conversation.
You can yell at a guy and he might that.
Really? Like at the grocery store?
He might. You never know with these people these days what they're into. No,
yeah,
I'm kidding. But
you have no problem getting asked out, like when you're just. Are you social? Do you go out a lot, like to parties? No. Okay. So you're kind of like an intro extrovert. Okay.
Little introvert.
Yeah.
I avoid people mostly. But if I'm out and if I'm committed to being out, I'm going to talk to people. I'm just going to get to know people.
Yeah. Because you're curious about people.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Have a what is that?
These are gooseberries.
Gooseberry? Have a gooseberry.
Snozberries. Tastes like snozberries.
Okay, so, where are you in your career right now?
So I did a pivot a little bit ago.
Pivot.
Pivot. Yeah. That is one of the best episodes of Friends. Yeah. So TV, especially unscripted, is doing a wonky thing right now.
Oh, really?
Not as much content's being sold. It's a lot of people are out of work. It's like pretty dire.
And unscripted?
Unscripted, more so than scripted. It's bad. So
do you feel like that's just because of social media? Like people can just get that content online? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's that people are on their phones more. there's so many reasons, but like people, it's a nightmare. So I kind of anticipated that shift. I was like, ooh, this is slowing down.
When did you feel like it started to slow down?
Like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And like they oversold during COVID as well. So that was like another thing. There's just too much content. And I'm like, okay, there's a trend that's changing. So I started managing talent, which I have a agency background in literary and digital. So I was like, okay, I can go back to my roots on the management side, though.
Do you work at like a company, or do you do it on your own?
Okay, I have one. Okay. Yeah, I have a company, a management company. I have a few clients, and I do branded deals for them.
Oh yeah, branded deal. I mean, that's kind of where it's at.
Yeah, so I lock in their branded deals, and then as a TV producer, I'm going to get industry deep here. If you're an agent, you cannot be a manager. Like you can't be a producer if you're an agent. It's a conflict of interest. Whereas if you're a manager, you can be a producer. So it's more appealing for me to manage a client and be able to produce an unscripted show for them, or be able to produce content for them, because I have done that digitally. I do it on TV.
Yeah.
So it is appealing for me to create a product for my talent. So that's why I like management.
Yeah. I know. Who wants to be just like working at an agency? Like, I feel like that's so.
It's black and white.
Ari Gold. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know, like I feel like managers just ever since. So, do you know who Geyer Kaczynski is? He used to be Angelina's manager, or he
Angelina.
is. I might still be. So he's like my distant cousin, kind of relative, and so he was like one of the beginning of people, because he was at William Morris, and then when he started his own management company and he started producing Angelina's projects. And that's really when the shift started to kind of happen, where more agents were like, well, let me go just be a manager and produce these like huge
packages,
stars, like, you know, and it's just such a different cultural office vibe, like management versus agents. Like I never trust an agent. Like because they will agent you. Like I've been agented, and you can tell which managers come from agency because they agent.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's,
agents, I think people switch their agents all the time. People are less likely to switch their managers, but manager is a long-term game.
Yeah.
Long-term game. And
which is hard sometimes.
It's very emotional. I'd say you're much more involved with your client than.
So I came from acting, and I've had agents and managers. There was this one woman I worked with when I was first starting out, like when I was 20 years old, and I would talk to her every day on the phone. Whereas opposed to my agent, I would talk to them maybe like once a week or once a month, you know, like,
good. This makes me feel good, because that's just I'm talking from my experience. Someone might, I used to talk to my agent. So like, you never know. But to me, in general, I'm like glad that you're like, yep, that is accurate.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
So many things to talk about, like as a manager, rather than as an agent.
Are you in class? Are you doing these things?
Yeah.
Like, and agents would do well to, but I mean, it's just so black and white. I don't know. Having been on both sides, because I was in an agency, and there's so much value to having a good agent. They do sales. They're gonna send you the breakdowns. They're gonna be able to set you up for things, and they work really hard. But they don't have the bandwidth or the personal skills typically that a manager does.
So kind of what do you feel like the state of, so we kind of talked about unscripted, but what about like everything else? Like, what do you feel like is happening?
I feel like scripted's good. I feel
you think so?
I think it's coming back.
Yeah.
I think unscripted's coming back too. It's booming over in Europe, whereas last year it was like crickets. They're booming over there.
What are they doing over there, unscripted?
They're doing a lot. They're doing scripted and unscripted.
Like I do see a lot of people in London, like shooting.
That's where it's popping.
Okay.
It's popping in London right now.
Why in London?
It just picked back up.
Oh, interesting. Everything's shooting in London. Literally, I see people. It's like if people aren't enjoying their lives in New York, they're in London, like working on something.
Well, and it's funny because I worked for a company out of London called the Talent Managers. So they're like the staff me up of London, and it's run by a really lovely married couple. They're amazing. And Sarah, she called me and was like, the saying over here, this is last year, she's like, it's survive until 25.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
And it was dire, but now it's popping. So I'm like, if it can happen there, it can pop here again.
Why is it popping there and not here?
That's what. So there's been a lot of like bills and taxing and like dispersed all over America right now. So it's filming is in different cities. There's that. Not as much stuff is being purchased, I think, due to social media stuff. There's like, I could like pull out a list of like, and have people go at it in the comments on what it actually is, because it's hard.
But do they get an incentive, or is it just cheaper to shoot there, or because it's not like
it's cheaper to shoot there, like fly everybody over there and shoot, than it can be to film it all.
And then maybe they're also worried about if anything else happens, like strike wise, like because all the strikes. Because I know when the strikes happened, everything in Atlanta moved to London.
Yeah, that's possible.
So because they don't have to worry about the strike,
no red tape. That's why indie films did really well during the strikes. Is you couldn't make a feature, but if you're an indie feature, you're under different rules. So you could do an indie feature. So right now you're seeing a lot of indie stuff come out because it all got filmed.
What's your thoughts on like indie filmmaking right now? Because
I love it. Yeah. I think it's in a new, like a brave new terrain. I think that people are more empowered than ever just to go film something. I think if someone doesn't have a huge budget, they can film on an iPhone and they can take control and make things happen. I think it's in a really exciting era for indie filmmakers.
If someone was a writer and they were like, I don't know, should I write a pilot or should I write a indie like feature? What would you tell them?
Yes.
Like which one? Indie feature or a pilot?
I mean, that's tough because I come from the TV world. Indie feature.
How hard is it to get a show sold though right now?
It's pretty challenging.
Yeah.
I would say indie feature, you're going to have an easier time because you can contain all of that.
Yeah.
A show, you have to go through the network and studio system unless you're uploading to YouTube. And then you can create a show in that format. So it depends on where you want the distribution to be.
Have you seen Overcompensating yet on Amazon? It is so good. I was like, where did this man come from? His name is Benny something. And like, he is so hot and he like is a comedian and he wrote this TV show and it's producing and starring in it. And he hired all these other amazing comedians, like a lot from the stand-up world. There's a couple of people who I used to do stand-up with who are in the show. And I'm like, how did this happen? And it's on Amazon, you know, the whole first season. But I'm like, when I see stuff like that, or like Baby Reindeer, or I'm like, yeah, it is always, there is always, where there's a will, there's a way to get a TV show sold. I have a show right now that I wrote with a friend of mine based in the Lower East Side of Manhattan that we've been trying to like pitch. And like we kind of, you know, we sent some cold emails and reached out to like even like family, friend contacts and got some meetings like with some people. And it's like, it really is the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's so many variables.
Right time, right place, like timing. But I'm like, what are the chances that like this will ever get made, you know?
So when I had a client my former boss and I had a client, and this client was a really brilliant playwright who switched over to TV writing, and he was writing these pilots, and we did, I think, 88 meetings.
Oh my gosh.
People loved him. Yeah. They're like, show us what else he's got, but this is a no. Yeah. 88 meetings.
That's a lot.
88, about 2 years, and then we got a yes. We sold a pilot.
Yeah.
And you want to know what speech we gave him? Because we're very practical. Start writing 3 more pilots.
Oh, because
this one might not go.
Yeah.
And and guess what? It ended up not going. But you take that hit, you take that burn and that sting, but now you have 3 more pilots that you're working on, and you get up and you do it again. You have to be very tenacious.
Yeah.
And so it is a lot harder when you're selling because it's like real estate. There's limited slots. There's limited real estate slots that you can sell to.
Yeah.
You can distribute on YouTube. You can put it out on TikTok. You can put it out on socials. But if you're wanting a prime spot, you're going through network and studio politics.
Do you feel like the future is social media platforms, or like going from streaming? Like, do you think the next thing is like consuming on TikTok?
I think that people already do quite a bit. I don't know. I think that the people really love the structure of when you turn on Netflix and there's like all these options and it's curated. Like if that, so it's like, okay, if you do that with TikTok, someone would still have to be curating what gets seen, what doesn't get. The best has to like they have to.
So like me right now, like what I do is it's like maybe I have a show that I'm watching, you know, so like for example, overcompensating. So I will watch that usually like when I'm eating lunch or dinner or after I get done working. But then a lot of my other time is consumed through scrolling on Instagram, and then also scrolling on TikTok. And then now that I've gotten into like the live streaming, you know, I understand these lives that are scheduled by these content creators at certain times because it's like just like you know a TV show is going to be on, you know that Sarah is going to be on at 7 every day. So it's like if you don't have a show you're watching or if a movie hasn't come out yet or if you're like in between things, you kind of can just go watch Sarah because you know she's on. Yeah. You know, like,
and I think that works. But I also have to question like the scheduling of most people.
That's why they say on TikTok to have the same time every day because the scheduling is like key.
Yeah. Right. And so I think sure that's because then you could say okay, well every day at 4 she's on, but then okay, people are gonna what are they doing TikTok for? A lot of people so they can try to get a show or they can get a different, and then it's like gonna change and go. You know, people get different opportunities. They'll get a different brand. So it's.
But some people are just like making money on TikTok. So why go do something else if you already know you're making guaranteed X, Y, and Z on your own terms,
which is great,
without having to go try and sell a show and then leave your house to go make it
and like deal with all the
the drama.
I think and streaming on Twitch is great. There's so many different ways to do it.
I feel like from an actor's point of view, because I moved out here to do acting, that I have felt a shift, like just from and I don't know if it's like me also getting older or changing around representation and just not going out as much, but there is this like, you know, once the influencers and social media people started coming to town, like there's this draw, and then also always stand-up comedians too. Like when I watch Overcompensating, and I'm telling you, most of those people came from stand-up, like casting wise, and then
always though, like I feel like it's always that way. And
for the comedies,
I tell people if you're wanting to know people, if you want community, if you want people to see you, do stand-up.
Yeah,
that's how you make community. The comedy community is always where it's at.
Yeah, I feel like I was doing stand-up for like 2 years. I was doing it like these past 2 years. I started in 2018, but then obviously COVID happened. I took a break. Last 2 years, I've been doing one show a month, and they're kind of like bringer shows. And I felt like I wasn't getting paid because I didn't like bring enough people. And I kind of felt like I like wasn't like nothing had happened like in the 2 years. Like I hadn't gotten asked to like come in on anything, like audition for anything, or like I didn't get like scouted for any, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So at that point I was like, okay, I'm not making money. I got to pivot, you know? So yeah.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about why I think this is exciting new terrain is because you're not stuck with the studio system, which might not work for you. It's like, okay, if you don't get a show that sells, you can write a book, you can go live stream, you can do, there's so many ways that you can get your art and your content out. And it does not have to be in the 3 traditional ways that you could before. Now it's much broader. So I think in that sense, artists have way more freedom. Yeah. Which I love. Like I'm all about it. So but I think plus if people are just consistent. If you're consistent with something and you like it, do it.
Do you feel like, okay, so this is kind of going into the next topic of like what keeps you inspired, like to keep going. So do you feel like a lot of times people struggle with just quitting, you know, because of how hard it is?
Yeah, I feel that for people. I don't have to be inspired to do something, and oftentimes I'm not inspired.
Oh, interesting.
I
flat out not inspired.
I it's like if I only was able to create or work when I was inspired, like no one would get anything from, like they'd get like these bursts and that's it. To me, it's more important that I'm steady and I'm consistent and I complete what I set out to do. I can do it if I'm pissed. I can do it if I'm bored. I can do it if I'm sad. I can do it through anything. And if I do it when I'm inspired, beautiful. Love doing it when I'm inspired, but I won't always be. I think that's something, if I could give somebody any insight into like how to get shit done, do it no matter how you feel.
Yeah. I feel like in the last few years, I've gotten really good at just kind of knowing that I'm probably better than like 95% of people out there. So it's like, if I just finish this and complete this, like it's not going to be bad, and not be so hard on myself to like doubt myself and just finish something and just be like, okay, it's done. Like I did it.
Done. Complete.
Yeah.
Perfect is the enemy of done.
Yeah.
Just do it. And if people do that, then they can go back and look at what they completed. They can give themselves feedback. They can build on it. They can say. And
also too, like for instance, even with the book, it's like I wrote this in 2020, I think, or 2019, 2020. It was right before COVID. I started writing it. And even now, like I go back and I read some of it and I think some of it is like really good, but like also it's like I've grown so much since then. I've changed. It's like, cool? And it's like, that's fine. Like that's my first book and like it is what it is.
Yes.
You know, and like,
and it's a moment in time.
Yeah.
And
honestly, moment in time is so true because I feel like now I would never write this way. Like, not even that it's like bad writing, but that it like my voice is different. But I do think that that voice is the voice of that age, you know, and that is important.
And nothing's more important than an artist being honest when they show up.
Yeah.
It's like, even if someone's saying something that you don't like.
Yeah.
If it's authentic to who they are in that moment, you get to see just a time capsule of someone's life.
What's funny is that I write about one of my friends like briefly in it, and I was like trying to figure out how to tell her like, hey, like I wrote about you, because I didn't ask like anyone permission to write about them. I just wrote about everyone.
Good.
And but I knew with her I wanted to be sensitive about it because I talk about her relationship, and I was trying to bring it up to her like before the book came out of like, hey, like, you know, I mentioned something about you, and I had sent her the book to pre-read it like a PDF, because instead of saying, I just wanted her to read it.
Yeah.
And so she was like, yeah, I know, like I read it. And she was like, in the future, like maybe ask me beforehand, but in this instance, I don't have a problem with it because everything you said was true. But I kind of get into her and her relationship with her boyfriend.
And what's funny about it is like, I think you're so kind to say, I sent it to you, I asked. I'd be like, dude, fair game. I'm like experiencing the world in real time right next to you. I get to write about my observations as much as I want.
Yeah.
And so it's like brave that you still did.
Yeah.
Because you could have gotten a different response from her and that could have shut you down.
Yeah. I was so worried about writing the book because I talk about my family. Like I talk about like really intimate things that like my mom was really upset with me like when she read the book because she didn't know about certain things. She didn't read the whole book, which I still think she needs to finish it because I feel like she would gain more information. She read the worst parts. Selective reading, but you know, at the end of the day, she's my mom and she still loves me, but every now and then she tells me how disappointed she is in me. Yeah, so but it's interesting. But I was really worried, but then at the end of the day I was like, you know what, I'm an artist, like I cannot care about what my parents think or my friends or my ex-boyfriends, like, you know, this is my journey, like, you know.
And I want to even say you can care, but you can do it anyway.
Yeah. I was like, I have to do it. I can't not do it.
That's part of being an artist. If it's in you, you can't not.
Yeah.
So it's hello, Kitty.
Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a girl.
This girl. She was like, I want to be on the Good Girl podcast.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
She's a good girl.
She's food motivated good girl.
Hi, the cat is back. Thank you.
Can I get you some more wine?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to? Like, we'll take a respite. I'll eat a gooseberry.
Yes.
I'll
wash my hands and get you a plate.
I don't remember gooseberries being this good.
Yay! I'm glad you love it.
They kind of have like a smoky, pepperiness to them.
Right? Cute.
Guys, thanks for tuning in today on this. I usually do them at night, the podcast, but now that I'm live streaming at 7 every day, my whole life revolves around daytime, which in theory, I actually don't mind. I'm like, I can be a daytime person.
I like it, madam.
Thank you. Like, I can go to the farmer's market and go to lunch and like go on a hike and go to the beach. Like, daytime activities are kind of where it's at.
Like, I could do this shit. I could be a daytime babe.
Yeah, I just actually got back on the dating apps and I did this like summer boyfriend application. Like, who wants to apply to be my summer boyfriend?
Do you want this?
Sure.
I'll play you up while you tell me.
And so this guy reached out and he was like, I want to be your summer boyfriend.
I love this.
And I was like, great, but there's already complications. It's like he lives on the west side. I live on the east side.
Okay.
He has a regular job, like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I'm like, okay. But he did say he's a night owl. So maybe it could work because of my schedule.
Well, I also think, like, because you said applying to be summer boyfriend, it's like it would be like 1 day a week at these times. Like, you could give the stipulations.
Yeah, like
he can show up.
I want us to have a magical summer together.
And you might. I think that's within your realm. Do you want hot honey?
Thank you, XNT. Oh, sure. Hot honey. Where'd you get that?
Gelson's. Where you're going to go
little
to meet,
jars?
Yeah, where you're going to go to meet your other summer boyfriend. Remember, look.
I haven't been to Gelson's ever since Lazy Acres opened.
I know.
Actually, no, I lie. I got a rotisserie chicken there on Sunday.
Okay. Well, sweatpants at the grocery store is how you find your next boyfriend.
Wait, do you know who I saw at the deli at Gelson's when I was wearing sweatpants?
Who?
Colin Farrell.
Really? Yeah. He does hang out around. I've seen him a bunch out here.
And I was like, I look so strange.
No, they like it. They like it.
And he was like looking at me. I had a boyfriend though.
No shit, he was looking at you.
Yeah, he was. Oh, thank you. He was checking me out. But I used to work for. Oh, thank you. I used to work for a woman who like dated him, and she said weird things about him. But she's also weird herself, so I don't know if I trust her.
It's probably. I mean, like attracts like.
Yeah.
You never know.
She told me stories. I also talk about all the okay, so I moved out here for acting, but I got into like kind of personal assisting. So I was a personal assistant to a lot of interesting characters, and this woman, I was her personal assistant, and I talk about her in the book a little bit. She had like come from like her father was like really famous film director,
right.
And she was an actress for a while. But she was also just like the Hollywood girl, like, like Girl About Town, like comes from went to Crossroads, all that stuff. And it was fascinating, like working for her. And like when I had started working for her, she actually had become a little bit of a recluse. She was like in her 40s. And she had like she was having some health issues, and I was like kind of the only person she talked to.
I believe that.
Yeah, and it was very fascinating. Very, very fascinating.
I think that there's a lot of people that don't think about how isolating it would be to have like a parent who is iconically famous.
Yeah.
Literally, like the term iconically famous. And I just think that would be there's so few people that have that experience.
Yeah.
And then Hollywood in itself is kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just.
She actually was Hollywood royalty because I think her grandparents were like old Hollywood.
Even that, it's like, okay, so you're inheriting so much of like, I don't know. I'm glad that I didn't have that, honestly. I think it would be a very difficult life.
Honestly, I feel like the universe sent me that job experience to see what I did not want to have.
Yeah.
What I thought I wanted to have and what I did not want to have.
Yeah, she sounds lonely.
Oh my God. Yeah, but really smart but very manipulative. Like,
that's hard too. Whereas like,
yeah, but really smart.
That's tough. And that's people that can get in their own way too, because if they're really, really smart, it's hard to point out anything because they already know everything because they're really smart.
She was probably one of the wittiest, like funniest women I've ever met.
Yeah.
But like deeply like manipulative.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Well.
Zachy.
Anyway, moving on. Are you like dating though? Like, are you like on the prowl, or you're like not busy working?
Never on the prowl. I'm always open to like something serendipitous.
Yeah.
But I'm also like I've never looked for. I've just never really looked.
What has dating in LA been like for you?
I mean, honestly, if you're working as a producer, like, just like put a microphone in front of producers. Like, what's your dating life like? They're gonna be like, what? You really have to sacrifice a lot for your job. It's the commitment it takes to like produce a show or to, you know, give 100% at a job. I don't know how people have kids and I'm like, how do people do this with children and with spouses and with I just don't know how people balance it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's, I mean, do you feel like living in LA, like, I mean, those producers who like are married and have kids and have homes in LA, like that just seems so stressful because it's so expensive.
Yeah, like you have to maintain that shit too.
Yeah.
Let's say you get like the really hot spouse and you have the house in the hills and it's like a $10 million house and all the cars and your kids have to go to private school. Like you have to maintain the lifestyle that you have chosen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to maintain it. And that would mean to me, people are like having strokes and like having
the other day I heard Zoe Saldana on a T-Mobile commercial.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's got to maintain that lifestyle.
Yep.
You know?
A lot of actors, like I think Brad Pitt back in the day does like a lot of stuff in Asia. Like people are like getting paid a ton to do brand.
Well, that's kind of like the movie Lost in Translation, which I recently rewatched the other day. He's going to do that whiskey ad.
Exactly.
And he's like a famous,
So it's like people, there's so many, to maintain your lifestyle. That's why it's going back to the finance conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Live within your means.
Yeah.
Boring, live off an amount that's reasonable.
Okay, so my next question, and I will follow up with something that I feel this way about. Do you ever feel ashamed about anything?
I feel like if I wasn't present, I think that those are the moments in my life where I look back, and even if I can say it wasn't deliberate, I was like, man, I wish I would have been present. Because you missed something really important and that maybe it could have had a different effect.
Like what?
I mean, I had a family member and 2 friends commit suicide last year. And I think like there were just moments where I thought I was present. I thought I knew what was going on in their lives.
Oh, really?
And I just didn't.
But you felt like you were present, like you genuinely, as you could be, as you knew, and then you just don't know.
You just don't know. And I think that I'm ashamed that I didn't, because I think younger me in my early 20s, maybe even my 30s, would have been like more obsessive, like picked up the phone, like driven to their house.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know. But I'm also like, so you just think about those things where you're like, was I just not present enough? And I think those are questions. Like, those would bring out that feeling, even if it's not my fault or it's not the appropriate feeling I should have.
Yeah.
I think those are the last times I felt those emotions.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Most people, when I ask them, do you feel ashamed? People were like, nope, I don't feel ashamed about anything. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I feel ashamed, like, walking down the street. Like, I feel ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like a lot of people don't want to talk about shame because it's vulnerability.
Yeah.
And if someone's telling you they don't feel shame, they feel a lot of shame. And they don't have a good relationship with it.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say about the shame thing, I feel like we were talking about dating and partners and like your house and all this stuff. And I feel ashamed about being 39 and living in a studio apartment. Like when I date someone and like not having more like for myself, like at this age. and I talk to my therapist about it all the time. Kind of like how we were talking about you like not necessarily being attracted to like people with like a ton of money, but more about how they manage their money. Like I have to constantly remind myself that like I'm a good person and like the right person will be attracted to me for like my good qualities and like not the fact that I don't have a house in the hills that they can come party in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if someone just wanted to be your friend, because let's
Yeah.
let's switch realities and say that tomorrow, like you win the lottery, you have the house, you're gonna do everything you want. Imagine the shitty people.
Yeah.
Like, no. You want people that like you when you're boring, that like you when you're messy, that like you because you try.
Yeah.
That like you because you're doing something with your life. It's like when people say they have no shame, like, and no, I'm like, I just don't think it's an honest conversation.
What are your female friendships like in Los Angeles?
They're good. A lot of people have vacated LA, like, and left for other cities. But like, I've always had great relationships with women. I mean, and with men. I think my relationships with people, as long they're always authentic. So if someone's in my life, it's an authentic connection. Yeah.
But do you feel like it's always been that way, or do you feel like when you were younger, you had to kind of like, what about, I mean, like, okay, maybe because when I came to LA, like, you know, I was pursuing acting and I would meet actresses, and those were like volatile, like female friendships.
I could imagine. I've had a couple friendships like in the past where like you had a friend that was like just really chaotic, or you know, you couldn't, no matter what you did to try to help, like.
And then I became friends with influencers, even worse. like even flakier, like even worse than actors.
I believe that. I believe that so hard. Look, I am pretty astute at judging character, and I think I can tell right away. And I'm realistic about people's capacity.
Yeah.
If I can tell, and also I know why somebody's interacting with me. Like I'm also astute at that, at motivations. So I think if I see that someone does have tendencies to be more ruthless or more self-involved or be more this, I call that out right away.
Yeah.
So I am having an authentic.
Like, do you feel like there's more of that than authentic? Yeah.
It's tough because we're in LA, and so I think there is a higher percentage of narcissists and like crazy people. Yes. I think in general, no. I think most people are nice and normal. And if you communicate, I do. I live in that type of reality. I think most people I meet are kind and helpful and doing their best. Even people that are not great can be reasonable in a moment if the communication's right. And I don't need somebody to be perfect to have a good interaction. But I do think when you're dealing with entertainment, when you're dealing with creatives, I was literally just talking about this yesterday. You are dealing with, to create is an act of ego, right? So you're dealing with a lot. Like you're not just dealing with people who are like making a podcast. Yeah. There's so much more coming to that for them than just, there's just bringing a lot to it. So I think that, I don't know.
I mean, I think LA is an interesting landscape for friendship, and that's kind of like what I talk about in the book is like, you know, coming from Texas. I grew up in Texas. And then you know, coming out here and experiencing like what it is to be a young woman in Hollywood and dating and friendship and money and like success and career, and you know, like it's and I imagine like any big city like New York or, you know, where you are, it's challenging. It's not like, you know, I went to school and then I became a engineer and like
I want to, even just so that I can contextualize your life more. How big was the town you grew up in? What was
very small. So I think the population of like maybe 5,000 people.
Okay.
So like my graduating class was like 100 people.
Yep.
And then I wanted to go to New York for college. I didn't get into NYU. I got into like another school, so I decided to go to school in Austin.
Okay.
Which actually was nice. Do I feel like I needed to go to college? Like maybe not. Like but it was like a buffer of just like before, you know, I don't know if like moving to LA at like, because I think I graduated high school when I was 17. I don't think moving at 17 to New York or LA with no parental supervision was a good idea, you know? So I think it was like a buffer of just like getting a little things figured out, which I did do. Yeah.
Can I pause?
Yeah.
So like moving so young, what compelled you?
Well, I ended up going to school. I went to college and then I graduated. So while I was in college, I remember going to my advisor and being like, okay, I want to do acting like as a career. Like, how do we do this? Like, I love doing theater, but like, how do I make money? And she gave me this book that was like the 10 agents and managers in Texas. And so I reached out to all of them.
Good.
And this one manager, the only manager in Texas, responded, and she was my first manager. So like I had kind of peaked by my sophomore year in college, like with the theater department. Like I got to do all the shows I wanted to do, and then I ended up signing with this manager and like pivoting to film and television. And at the time, like Friday Night Lights was shooting in Austin, like Robert Rodriguez, Tarantino, Terrence Malick. And so I started getting auditions. Like I got my manager, and then she set me up with an agent, like one of the best agents in Austin. And I was like on the road, and so I kind of stopped doing theater like at school. Like I still finished my degree, but I started focusing more on like film and television. And then when I graduated college, I wanted to move to LA, and my manager was like, you still need like a few more credit, like a credit, like basically, before you do that. And then I ended up booking this movie, and she was like, okay, I think you should move to LA. So like I moved, so that's why I moved out here in 2008. Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, I want to do this.
Well, and that's a good manager too, to be like, you need one credit.
Yeah.
Because
like
it's like
something.
She wanted you to feel ready.
Yeah.
It's like, it's good to give somebody a thing to hit. And like, great, I'll get that credit. You knocked it out. And then it's like,
yeah. I will say, like, from my career in acting, that I booked this movie in 2008. It was a Lifetime movie, but they really, like my manager and my Texas agent, they really sold it to the LA agents that it was much bigger than what it was, and I got LA representation. But then it was still a weird time, like 2008, because that was that writer strike from back then. And my manager at the time was like, it used to be a lot easier to break people into the industry. It was also the beginning, like the financial crisis, like there was a lot going on. So I had problems. Like I had representation, but I wasn't booking anything. And then it wasn't until 2013. So like a couple years went by. And then I was like with some guy I met in acting class at Ivana Chubbuck, who created his own management company. And I was still with my Texas agent, but he started managing me. And I remember he was like nobody, like in the industry, but he emailed people with such pizzazz and enthusiasm for me that I ended up getting things like auditions. So I remember I hadn't worked in like since I did that movie in 2008, and I got like an episode on Criminal Minds.
That's great.
And through him, just emailing people. And
but also through you doing that. It's like, yeah, you could have, if he would have been like looking at this from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
If somebody is like, hey, here's the what I'm offering. If they didn't like what was being offered, they would close the door.
But I would read his emails that he sent to casting, and it's like he's like emailing like Lorraine Mayfield, like like David, what's his name, like big like casting directors, and like my star client Bianca Malinescu. Like
it's great,
and it's like, but he got me more work. He like got my career going again. And so in 2013, I started with it was crazy. I would literally be working on a show, and the last day of work, I would get an email about my next job. Like I would have like another job. It was like momentum. Like, so I do feel like the energy, the momentum, like he had energy, even though I don't know, like he just believed. And like, that was what I needed. And so I did Criminal Minds, and then I did, I remember there was this movie that it was also like on Actors Access. It was like a wide release, but like he got me an audition for it. It was at Cat Studio, like, you know, on whatever, like by La Brea. And I went in and like I got it. It was a horror movie. I like went and shot it. It was my first horror movie. And it was like all night shoots. It was so much fun. I was like, okay, whatever, horror movie, whatever. I get a call 3 months later. It's going to Sundance.
Really?
Yeah. So I like went to Sundance.
That is so
exciting. Like off this horror movie that like, do you know what I'm saying? And then like I got on a TV show on AMC. Like I got 8 episodes like on a TV show. That's great. And it was all like the last day of filming. I found out I had another job. And I did that. I was like an actor. Like I supported myself through acting for like 2 or 3 years. And then I did a representation change. I fired him. I got another manager at a better company, and it all went away.
That's the thing with switching managers. Yeah. It's like typically people stay with their manager because it's like a but I was like, okay, this guy is like from my acting class. Like, and it was just, you know, obviously I was judging a lot of things. And also I don't know, I've always been obsessed with like, I want to be at like this level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I need to go be with this company. And that has never helped me. It doesn't. Yeah. I've worked with the big 3 for agencies, and I have a lot of good things to say, but like I know people that have also been like, man, they were just too busy for me. And it's just true. Yeah. The level of pressure that these people are under, the level of projects that are passing across their desks, the level of everything. It's like if you have someone's attention, you have everything. Yeah. And so if you have like an attentive team, keep it. Yeah. But it's still good and incredible that you were able to like book all that work and like have that momentum, because it sounds like really fun stuff. Like, yeah, no, it was like a great time in my life and like an experience. And like, you know, now I'm like trying to figure out like what I'm looking for and like what I want and like what type of projects. And I do see there's more stuff now out that I feel, because like also I'm half Latin and half white. And so when I was coming up in the industry, that was always a big challenge, because people were like, she's not Latin enough, like she doesn't speak Spanish, but also like we don't know how to cast her parents. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like now, like I remember it was like 2 years ago, I auditioned for this Hulu show where it literally was like a half Puerto Rican, half white girl from Texas who lives in New York. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm like, this is me. Like, I know, girl. But, you know, for a long time, I was like, oh, like, I have to write this. But now other people are writing it, which is nice. There's a lot more representation everywhere. And it's like, and again, what I love about the landscape now is like, you can write it. Yeah. You can write it in a day and go on YouTube. And then it's like, your comedian friends in the scene can see it. You can cast people. It's like, if you have the energy, like you can pull together a project. So it's so cool in that way. And also everyone's journey is unique. It might be that like for someone's season, it might be like, okay, my first season was getting to do Criminal Minds and getting to go to Sundance and doing that. And that was the experience. And which, by the way, Sundance, I was like, oh, I thought we were going to like go see good movies and be all like film professional. It was just getting day drunk at 10 a.m. and then watching people do coke like in hotel rooms like at night. No. Like that was like Sundance. Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that was your experience. Yeah. But I think that like next chapter, it's like, okay, learning about streaming, learning about being more just having fun, creating on any platform you want. That's freedom as an actor and a creator. I think that's cool. Yeah. And then from there, it's like, who knows? Yeah. There's so much opportunity. Like, the world's your oyster. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I was like, okay, I want to, because what happened with the book was that I actually was trying to write a movie, but I felt like I couldn't tell the whole story like in a feature. And so I was like, well, why don't I just write a book? And then I wrote the book a few years ago. And then before I published it, it had actually been optioned by 3 different people, like in 1-year shopping agreements. That's great. But the first person I just don't feel like was right, like the right person. The second was a woman who I had worked with in the past
who was like, okay, well, if I produce this, I have to direct it, and like wanted a lot of say in everything. And so I did a 1-year agreement with her, but she literally would like go on meetings and like not invite me to go, and was like, you don't need to go. Safe. And I was like, what? Like, and so no. when the agreement came up, she wanted to sign another 1-year or a 2-year agreement, and I was like, no, like I don't want to do this anymore.
Business wise, her agreement timelines are correct, like because it takes a long time to do anything. But doing something that you're not comfortable with, like not going on meetings, not
it was all very strange. I didn't feel good about it.
I wouldn't feel good about it either. It's like it can take a lot longer than people say. But no, if you're like, well, what's going on? Or at least not filling you in. Hey, here's a recap. We did these meetings. Here's what it looks like. Here's exactly what's being said. Here's an update.
But what I thought was funny is that she invited me to this like networking thing one night, and she was like, yeah, you should come, and there'll be people there, and you know, maybe you can talk to them about the book, like, and maybe they'll want to invest. And I like went, and I literally talked to this one woman for like 15 minutes, and then she ended up calling the other woman the next day and being like, oh yeah, I want to invest because I spoke with her. You know what I'm saying? Like the power of me, the story, speaking with someone is much more important.
And no one's going to tell your story better than you can. So I think that it's also great, though, if you had 3 people option, my producer brain is like, okay, if 3 people wanted it, then you could branch that out and be like, let's write to 100 people who are like at the level where they've done projects you like. And it's like, what do they have to say? And just get feedback even. And they might scoop you up. You never know where someone's bandwidth is, but it's like if 3 people are already interested, that's a pretty big green flag.
Yeah, people liked it because a lot of people, it's very interesting. A lot of people, it's like the female entourage, or like and so they actually, the third person was this husband and wife international sales couple who I became friends with. She's also a producer, and I liked working with them the most. And they took it to the entourage guy, actually.
Doug.
Yeah. And then they also took it to Darren Star. They both passed on it, but it was like, okay, well, those are the people that need to be seeing it, like people like that.
And that's good. It's like good to get people that can, even if they pass doesn't mean no, or that they didn't like it. It could mean they're too busy. It could mean that a lot of the times that's it. Like people just are like, I can't do this project justice. I can't take it on. There's so much that goes into a pass. Like, here's a good story. There was a comedian that I really loved in the scene who would do my open mics, who would do my shows in backyard Santa Monica shows. Loved her. I was like, and she wrote scripts. She's amazing. I'm like, I really think she has something special. So I was at an agency at the time. This was almost 9 years ago, I think. Brought her in, hyped her up to everybody, got her meetings across the board, and they passed.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, are you guys kidding me? And I was so mad. I was like, you guys, tell me what. They're like, oh, we just don't know what we could do with her. Like, we liked her. Like, we think she's talented. We just don't know what we can do. And it made me realize that they didn't see what I saw. It didn't mean that they weren't good agents. It didn't mean that they just didn't know, because they were looking at what they were looking at. She's on Netflix, like was on the cover of New York Times.
Wow.
She's fucking killing it. She's hugely successful.
The job of like an agent is to go out and find new talent. Then why do you bring them back and everyone passes? Because it has to be like a united sign.
It's individual. It's truly individual. And it speaks to my taste. I know that I have the best taste. I know that I was right. Oh my God, look, here she is. I knew that was what would happen for her. They don't have that. That doesn't mean that they weren't good agents. They just weren't able to see what I saw. And I think that's common. If you're distracted, you don't know what's going on in their personal life. You don't know, did they just not get that type of comedy? Did they not? Everyone has these different influences on why they make decisions. And
sometimes I wonder if people in representation are actually a good judge of taste.
Some are. Like some really, really are. And then others, like, I remember having arguments with my former boss, whom I love. Like, I'm great friends with him. But there were times where he would almost need me to prove a why. And I'm like, when you get too much into the logic of it, it doesn't make sense. But when I'm telling you this person they have it.
Mm-hmm.
It is intangible.
Yeah.
It can't be quantified.
Mm-hmm.
They have it. If they don't see it, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
And sure enough, this person who is all over now and she's killing it,
mm-hmm.
I was like, I sent him it. I sent him the articles, and he's like,
wow.
And he's like, I missed that.
Yeah.
he was like, I'm thrilled for her, and I'm so happy. He's like, I knew she was talented. I just didn't know what to do with it. And it also shows me he wouldn't have been the right representation for her, because she could have stalled her career. Because he probably would have submitted her for the wrong things.
Because his connections might not have been the connections that she needed,
and he might not have just. So again, and he was an excellent agent, but it was like not for her.
Yeah.
So I think that it can feel. And I told her, I'm like, they passed. Please don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And I hope she took that to heart.
Yeah.
Because it was the truth. I was like, it's not personal. It's situational. I feel being an actor must be so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely been like moments where it's like, your career could just change like in any, it's like being in Vegas. It's like the luck, like that's the thing I love about LA is that like one day you could be down on your luck, and then the next day it's like you get this audition and then you're going to be in Budapest making a movie with Brad Pitt, like
it's true.
Yeah.
But there is that, like, I feel like it's one of the only parts of the industry that's completely subjective. So I'm like, to me,
yeah,
it's hard.
It is hard.
There's you have to be so tenacious to be an actor.
No, that's true. Okay, so with dating, let's go back to dating really quick. Are there like what's your red flag? Like, are there red flags when you meet someone? You're like,
I mean, selfishness. If someone's selfish, no.
Yeah. What if you're at a restaurant and he doesn't say thank you to the waiter? Is that a red flag?
It depends. I think how they are in general. It's like if they're if they're rude to the waiter, like obviously like someone's rude to the waiter, that's a red flag. Some people are more focused in on you.
Yeah.
And so they might just be like, they might have the mindset that the restaurant is curating the experience.
Yeah.
I'm here to focus on you. So not necessarily. If it was combined with rudeness towards the waiter.
Do you say thank you to the waiter if they do anything?
Yeah. I'm way too accommodating.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the waiter's like, you don't have to stack the plates. But it's like, I don't like, someone didn't stack the plates. Like, I just think about people. I'm like, I would want my area to be tidy. Some restaurants have been like, please just enjoy. Like, you don't feel like you have to clean. So no, but if there was rudeness, I would be like,
yeah.
What is going on here?
I feel like if somebody like walks into my space and I see them, like I have to acknowledge them. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? There was this restaurant I worked at in Austin. It's really blown up now. I think there's one here in LA. It's called Uchi. It's a sushi restaurant. But they were always really good about being like ninjas. Like they would come and you like wouldn't even see them or know them. Like, like,
which I love. And like,
yeah.
I feel like some waiters don't want you to talk to them.
Yeah. They're like,
no. Please just shut up.
Pickles is back in the chat. Pickles was here the other day. All right, guys. So red flag. What's something that really gets your blood boiling? Like, what's something that you really do not like?
Ketchup.
Okay.
Like, I really don't like ketchup. Like,
why?
I don't know. We're just talking about restaurants, so I'm thinking in a food sense. I don't know. It's like a sweet tomato paste. I hate ketchup.
My friend Nicole has a phobia against ketchup.
I get it. I really do. I don't like ketchup.
That's so interesting.
It's gross.
Okay. All right. What's something that you struggle with?
I would say currently. That sigh that I just did probably lets me know, like, patience. I think I have an abundance of patience, but sometimes I'm like, I just wish that I didn't have to cultivate as much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's like an ideal day for you?
Day? Probably getting up at 6, working out.
You get up that early?
Oh. I get up early, I work out, getting like sun early, journaling early, just dumping everything out. Checking in with myself, just seeing like where you at this morning. And I explore kind of anything that comes up. When I get time to do that, I love that part of my day.
Yeah.
And then I just go into like Slayer mode where I like
what are you doing in Slayer mode?
Everything.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, shredding. No, just everything. Like just really organizing, stacking things out, making the calls, like doing the pitches, making things happen. Yeah. I like when I can like predict my time and control my schedule. Can't always do that, but that makes for a good day with me. Any day that I have control of my schedule, I feel like is a perfect day.
Yeah. Have you seen that one influencer? Her name is Gabby something, where she's like, I don't take any meetings before 12 and I have to be done by 4 so I can come home and like have dinner.
I love it. Yeah. I think that is a perfect day.
Yeah. And also she's like, I don't do meetings on Monday or Friday. So it has to be Tuesday through Thursday from 12 to 4.
Love it. I think she's got it down.
Well, what are you wanting more of in life right now?
I would love to see more compassion from other people. I think that at least when I go and interface with the world in LA, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go have social intercourse today. I'm going to
like, yeah, tensions are running high. Do you think it's just like the economy and like money? Yeah.
It must be. And I think people are just going through shit.
Uncertainty,
but I think people are just like, you know, like 2020 where every day was like a horror story, like and weird shit was happening. It's like people's month has been that way.
Yeah.
Everyone I've talked to, when they've like opened up to me, I'm like, I had no idea you were carrying that. Like, I think May has kicked people's ass.
The what? May. You think it's the impending tariffs?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could blame it
or
on
like
that.
the presidency or like, you know, any of that.
She wants to comfort us. She knows how hard it is.
So you're wanting more compassion. And then what are your goals like for yourself right now?
Well, as you can see on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Mine are on the right. We have clear, specific, measurable goals. I use the SMART method. I just try to keep each window of my life or each sphere of my life relatively tidy. So right now, for the month of May, it's good enough. It's take your steps, drink your water, do your projects.
I thought you were going to say drink your wine.
Drink your wine as well.
Do your projects.
Meditate, edit the shit I need to edit.
Yeah.
I want to sell my show. It's close.
Yeah. What is the show?
I do a lot of true crime.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that one's looking good.
The girl who just called me really likes true crime.
Good. Yeah. A lot of people like true crime.
A lot of people like true crime.
You'll never be out of a job if you work in true crime.
So it's a, what kind is like a unscripted or,
True crime is technically unscripted.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with facts. But like I've written true crime episodes, several for TV.
Interesting.
But you're not in the Writers Guild because like you're unscripted. So they, that's another conversation. But what are you doing, little kitty?
Like I'm in the journal. I'm journaling.
But yeah, producing that, I've gotten a bunch of stories that I think are compelling and haven't been heard as much. So I can tell people's stories and give victims, hopefully, a sense of justice. It's a heavy genre to work in, but it's a good one.
I know people always ask me like, do you like true crime? And I'm like, no, because I also don't watch horror because I think I have enough, like, you know, I'm like, I gotta.
So earlier when I was like, I love horror for that. It's what I meant. It's I don't like the genre in terms of watching it. I love horror for the fact that like people flock to it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it's one of those types of genres that like actors can have so much fun in that and all of that. Personally, I don't watch horror because I produce true crime.
Yeah.
But it's like I love horror for the fact that like people consume it.
Yeah.
Like it's candy. They're like
people are like really into it.
They get into it. So
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my last question. Oh yeah. Do you have any regrets? We have 2 more questions.
Regrets. I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah.
Just being more aware of what's going on in other people's lives. I think that is something that I really try to do. Yeah. Especially after experiencing so much loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything you'd like to manifest right now? Like anything that you're like, oh, I really like want to put this out into the universe or call this in that I want this.
Man, I would love to sell a fight show.
A fight show?
I've been working with fighters, like MMA fighters and boxers. And I think doing a show on them, like unscripted series on fighters or boxers or just combat sport athletes in general, doing their branded deals, doing a show that showcases what these people go through.
Yeah.
That's what I'm ready to do.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that on my slate with true crime.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's all I have for you today. So this has been lovely. Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Thank you for having me over and for the wine and the conversation. Honestly, this was like one of the more like effortless interviews I've had to do just because I feel like our vibe, our conversation just is so easy. Yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way. Yeah. Maybe it was the wine.
Well, no, I mean, I've had wine on other interviews, but sometimes it's just like interviewing people has been interesting.
What's been the most interesting thing about it?
Well, I think like what I was saying about the people, like when I asked if you've ever felt ashamed and people just don't have a relationship to it, which I think is fascinating. I mean, honestly, after interviewing 13 other people and asking people these questions, I almost just want to dive deep into researching like the human relationship to shame, because I actually find that the most interesting.
I think that's a big one. Brene Brown has a lot on it. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
So she's good. And I'll let you see. I have a book in my room called Atlas of the Heart where she talks about all the emotions. Maybe that would be good for your interview questions. But I think people's relationship to shame will tell you a lot about how they handle anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting.
How people handle their emotions will tell you a lot about how they handle everything.
It's also interesting just to like have a conversation with someone, like, you know, I'm like what people are all about and like, and just their energy. Because even like my closest friends, like I've interviewed them and how people are in front of the camera. Like you're very good in front of the camera. Like, thanks. Yeah, because like some people just don't feel comfortable in front of the camera too.
I don't love. I'm a behind the camera person anyway, but I do think that a lot of people self-edit or they're worried about how they would sound, like, or that someone would like them.
You're very natural. Like you like just have a very easy way of like talking.
Thank you.
Yeah. From the 13 people that I've interviewed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would never have thought that. I don't feel like I'm like, I feel like I'm awkward, but
you're like honest, but like easy going and like natural. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate this. This has been really fun.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, guys, make sure, I mean, do you want people to follow you on Instagram or like
if something resonated or they have a question, I would love to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Okay. What's your Instagram handle again?
It is Josia Creates.
Okay. Josia Creates. That's right. So that's where you can find her on Instagram. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'll be back, I think, next week. We're doing daytime ones now, but I'll be back next week. But thank you guys so much. And also, make sure you go on Amazon and buy Good Girl, the book. It's available. And we'll see you next time. Okay.